Hi, I'm Sherry and welcome back to my channel, Sherry Jones Designs. In today's video, we are going to make a really cute bib overhaul dress. And it's something I've been seeing on Pinterest and I thought that is really cute. I want to try it. So we're going to make one of those. And I also want to say that today we are using clothing. Some of the clothing in this video was sent in by a viewer. So it was, I don't know, a little while ago. I lost your name. I'm sorry. I saw it on Etsy. You asked me through Etsy and it doesn't say your actual name there. And the box that came in, I've lost it. So I'm sorry that I forgot, but you know who you are. And if you, let me show you some of the items so you know, and you can feel free to comment and take credit for this because you sent it to me. This is one of the things I'm going to be using that she sent, and this is another pair. It's a pair of jeans that are ripped in the back. We're going to be using those two things, and she sent other things too, which I have used some of them. Having said that, let's get into our project because I'm really looking forward to it today. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and let's get started. I've been working up a lot of jeans lately, and so this just kind of goes with my theme this week. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the front part of these jeans, and this will be the front of the bib, and it'll be cut down like this, like a bib overall. And then the back part, which I'll have to repair, which is no big deal. I will just remove the pocket, put a patch there, and it'll become part of the back. And then we'll start here and we'll slant it through the back. I'm going to want at least 10 inches to 11 inches for the front. I'm measuring off of an actual bib pair of overalls that I have that fit me. So if you have a pair of bibs in your house that you wear that fit you, you can measure off of them. So here we have the jeans, and I have measured 10.5, centering it 5 1/4 to my button. And next, the next thing I want to do is I want to measure down from the front, and my bib overalls are going to have a little bit of a dip neck because this isn't straight across. So I'm going to measure down, make sure that I've got as much room as I can. I see it's going to use all the way down to the crotch here. So if you have a pair of like shallower waisted jeans, what you can do is just cut off below your zipper and add some extra for the length. But I want the front down to where where I want to sew on. I want that to be at least 10 inches. So I'm going to give myself a mark across the bottom here. This would be the bottom of my bib overall here somewhere. And then you can see I'm going to be right out here. Now I got to get the width from here out, and then I'm going to just slope my line to it. 20 inches is out here. So I'm just going to make a mark there and a mark over here. And now I've kind of got my shape. What I can do is fill this in. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting this out. And this is just for the front side. The back side's going to be different. And I know I'm going to want a little bit of, just a little bit here before I start curving up. Not much, but let's make sure we have it the same. I'm going to go 1.5 inches. And here's the area where I'm going to start curving. 1.5 inches. And that just allows, if I need a little bit more here sewn in, I can sew it in. And just gives me that. So now I'm going to take, and for this, I'm just going to make a curve down like it would be for a bib overall. And once I cut that out, I will flip it and match the other side to this one. You're going to want a good pair of scissors for this. I've got this really heavy duty pair here. Now make sure your pockets are laying out flat. And then we're going to follow this first line. And I'm going to come straight across my line here. This, of course, will have a dip to it, so I'll show you how I'm going to deal with that. Now we're going to take this side. I won't be using this cloth for these pockets, but you want to leave enough to sew them shut, so don't cut into any of the denim. As long as you don't cut into the denim, you'll have enough to sew those shut. So I'm just going to cut this off because it's going to mess with me flipping this over. And then I'm going to match this side here. I think just to make life a little easier for myself, I'm going to pin this pocket shut, so it doesn't open up and mess with my measurement. It's flat that way. I'm just going to put a little pin in it so it stays where it needs to stay. And I'm going to flip this over and measure this other side. Make sure that I've got it where it needs to be. And if you don't want it to move, just pin it so it doesn't run away from you, or clip it. Like here, I can use a clip up here. And now I can trace my other side, or I could just cut down and followed it. So that they're similar. It's not an exact science. At least I missed my tiny pocket. I didn't have to cut through that. It could have been worse. Okay. And now we're going to cut the rest of that out. And this is going to be the front of our bib. I can go ahead and pin this because I'll be sewing these shut. I want to make sure that's laying flat. And there we go. And that's the front of our bib. Now, when this doesn't lay flat, see how that comes out? All I'm going to do is snip that on the side of the seam like that, up until I get a flat spot, and just lay it over itself and stitch it down. That's all you have to do there. So, okay, let me set this one aside now. We'll have to do some sewing on it. And we are going to go to the back side. Now I want to use this middle part where I've got this tear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my pockets, and I'm going to cut the shape I want out, and then I'm just going to patch over and add some interesting textures to the back part of this. So you can actually take the razor and go down the back of your, careful not to hurt yourself, and just slice that. And the discoloration, I think, will add to it. I'm just going to do patches and have different kind of colors once I get my shape cut out. But first, I just need to remove my pockets. Okay, so I removed the pockets. And we're going to save those pockets because we'll probably be using them on the front of the garment. So we'll save them. And now that they're off, we can also decorate them. So that's a great deal. And I love how this is very worn. Like, it's a very worn pair of jeans. So you've got these actual worn through areas on the pockets and stuff. And that's the joy of using used clothing, is it has already natural wear in it. It's a softer fabric. It just, I think, has a much more pleasant feel to it. So anyways, so now for the back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my front and I'm going to use it as my guide. As my guide here, and I'm going to make sure that I've got from the corners here as my height, and I've got this was my center, so I've got that centered. And what I want to do is make it exactly the same except 1.5 inches shorter. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take our tape measure here, and our chalk, and we're going to make sure that we are 1.5 inches, which I got it centered here. 1.5 inches in, which is right there. I'm going to mark it. And it'll be 1.5 inches in on this side as well. Just right there. And then what it's gonna do is it's going to start where this one ends here on both sides like that. We're going to make it the same down here, but then we're going to slope it in a little bit more on the back side. So I'm going to take this off, and we're going to draw this one, and we're going to do the same thing we did on the last one. We'll cut this one, we'll flip it over, and we'll mark that one. And I'm not worried about this. Like I said, I will be putting a patch over that, some other kind, and I've got like shapes of pockets, but they'll be cut. And then I'll just put things over them to give the back some color. So now I just want to give myself a nice angle like this. And I'm going to cut that and then flip it over and mark and cut the other side. Now my bottom here, I wasn't happy with this one, but it's fine. I'm just going to throw this across the bottom and cut it. And if I need to drop this in, I will. And then I'll cut them both straight. So I couldn't have gone down any lower on the front anyways because it ran into the crotch. So we're just going to give us a line here, and we'll fix that when we get there. That's the way upcycling is. Something went wrong, sew something on top of it, change things, and keep going. That's why I like it. It's not like pattern sewing where, oh no, I'm off an inch, I've ruined that, I have to go buy more fabric. It's just, you just add things and keep going. It's fun. And it feels great. You know, you're upcycling things. You're helping the environment. You're living more frugal and responsibly. It just feels great all the way around. Pulling things that you bought out of your closet that doesn't fit you anymore and turning it into something you absolutely love. It's a great feeling, and it's not that hard to do. It's not as hard as pattern sewing where you have to match darts and do all these things, pleats and all these things that you have to do. So, okay, so now we're going to flip it, mark the other side. So I didn't quite get to the middle there, did I? I get at least past the middle part. Flip it, and then we'll mark it and finish cutting it out. And that will be the back of our little outfit here. I'm going to cut this. And let's say I cut this and this wasn't down here, was not wide enough. I tried it on, I didn't have enough room. Guess what? Like, this is cut a little sideways here. I could just add another piece of denim. Like, it's not the end of the world. You're like, oh, I didn't do that quite right. Let's say you accidentally cut in here. We're like, okay, I'll just add another piece of denim on top and then cut the shape I want. How nice is that? Like, it's just so nice because you make mistakes, they're easy to fix. Okay, so on this piece, it's laying pretty flat. It's flat enough for me. I think what I'll do is we'll just be adding some denim patch stuff over it. I might even add color onto it. And this is going to be used in the bottom of it to be color pieces. So we're going to use this as, this is going to be the color palette I'm going to be picking other items for. I was already collecting a few. Like, I thought this was pretty with that. I think that will go well. Also, I was thinking about adding some birds. I had this little scrap piece here with birds on it. I think that'll be fun. So I'll collect some more materials, and I need to do the sewing on this one. I'm going to sew these and sew this, and I'll get back with you and we'll continue. Okay, so here I have the back, and what I'm going to do is just a mishmash. I haven't decided on the final design, but I'm going to do a mishmash of just denim and bird accents. And I may add some plaids into it, so this is not finalized, but just to give you an idea, you can add some interesting aspects, like this is snaps from a shirt. Whatever your imagination can come up with to paint a picture, a beautiful picture on the back of this, that's what we're going to do for the back. And then for the front, I have sewed this down, but it had a little bit of a gap, so I put a patch here, and I'll probably add another one to the side, a little plaid or some sort of thing like this. something like that. But I'm going to add a bird to it as well because this is going to be a bird theme. So we're going to do like birds and just some other accents. I think I'm going to put this pocket here. Now I did notice I have fabric on the back, so I'm going to be cutting this fabric off and just using, I like the frayed edge to sew around this edge here, so I'm probably going to be putting that there. And now let's talk about, I'm going to go ahead and talk about how we will be closing this. So what you're going to do, you're going to need 2 waistbands from jeans. And you could just sew this right on the right height it needs to be, and you're good to go. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and cut the snap off, sew it on, so it'll be like this, sewn on, the little button here. I said snap, but it's a button. And then I will be reversing this around, and this will actually be on the front, so I can actually button it. And then the part I close off, that part will go around to the back side. But what you want to do is you want to, here's one that I haven't opened yet. If you're sewing machines like mine, that's a lot of layers to go through. So what you can do to make it easier is to take and open it up and take out that this middle layer. And it's not that hard to do. Once you unravel the right one, it'll just peel up. It'll just zip open. Let me grab a seam ripper and I will give you an example. If it doesn't come up easy on one end, try the other end of your garment, of your belt loop here. But once you get the right piece up, it will just unravel all the way. You have to pull it out of the loop correctly. Like that. And then once you pull it out of that loop, you can just unzip it. But see, I hit the snap there, so I got to start over. But once you unzip it all the way, and you want to pull all your loose threads off, I can't even get a hold of it. Any place they've backstitched, it's not going to do it. So then you're going to remove all your threads. And then what you want to do is remove this middle extra layer of denim. And that will help you a lot with your sewing machine. And also out here where it's thicker, here at the end, a lot of times I will just seam rip that open and cut off these extra layers. So now you're only sewing through a couple layers. That's one tip to make it easier sewing denim on a regular household sewing machine. So I'm working on the elements here of what I've done, and I want to show you. I'm just making a big mess too. I've zigzagged with gold thread my edge. You could use any color you wanted. Like if you wanted red, any color you want to. And I've sewed this on. It does look sideways, but when it hangs up, it doesn't matter if it's sideways. These are all just interesting elements like a drawing. This is what my back looks like right now. Let me show it separately. I'm just sewn on, and boy did the zigzag to me just make everything pop. I went ahead and added some more elements onto it. And what I want to show you now are 2 things in this little segment. You can leave your zipper like this. Now, if the zipper on the pants that you have are broken, you can just sew this shut, like if that would bother you. But I actually really love to see the zipper. I think it's so pretty in a garment. And this is very thick and heavy. So what I'm going to do is just lighten this up a little bit. I don't want to ruin the button part because I do want to be able to close it. But what I come in, and I do this pretty frequently, I will come in here and remove the back side of this. That's all this extra zipper fabric. And you do need a really good pair of scissors for this, guys. This is going to test your scissor quality. And I'm just going to cut off everything extra that I can find here so that it's just more comfortable to wear. Remember, on a bib overalls like this, you're going to be wearing a shirt under it as well. So you're going to have lots of layers. And summer is here. We want to make sure this is comfortable to wear. Okay, so now I've thinned that back considerably. You do want to make sure if you're going to use your zipper that this is trimmed back way far on this edge here because you don't want to get caught in the zipper like that. And then you're going to go around to this side. Here's what I like to do. Is I like to see the zipper. So I'm going to cut in on top and bottom. Make sure I'm not cutting the middle. It takes a good squeeze to get there. Okay, and I'm going to trim it as close as I can all the way up so I see my zipper because I think they're so pretty. I love how they look. You do not have to do this step. And again, you're going to want to make sure it's trimmed as close as you can get it. And then what I'll do, because this is going to be loose now, if I don't want that to be loose, I can zigzag around it, but it's fine loose. It'll just fray and look cute. We can even go ahead and fray some of it out, and I'll show you how cute that is. It'll just make it look all worn and loved, and I mean, look at that. I know everybody has their own likes and dislikes, but I just love the look of that. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about your straps. Because our little home sewing machines aren't like these industrial machines. If I sew this on as it is, or sew this across, not only do I have to sew, because I want to sew here, but I'm going through this as well. So you can do two things. If your sewing machine can handle that, because we've already removed the inner fabric here. I do need to remove this extra thread so it doesn't get caught in my machine. But if you're going to have trouble sewing through that amount of fabric, what you can do is come in and also cut this to one layer, and you can just follow that crease. It'll look, everything else is raveled, so it's going to look fine. You just come and follow that down, and then when you stitch, that's 2 more layers gone. So your machine can easily sew down the side and close these. Because you also have to sew this part onto a waistband. So the best way that I found to do that is you come in, you seam rip this, flip it out, and then trim it. So now I've only got these 2 layers. You trim that even with the end of where you want it to be. It'll be creased as well. I haven't done it on this one yet. Here's what it looks like after you've seam ripped it open. See, I've got these right here. I can just follow that really easy, and I'll just trim them both off like that. And now I'll only have a few layers, and if I want to go ahead and trim this, I could as well. I think my sewing machine can handle that many layers, so I'm just going to leave that. It'll make your life so much easier. And then you want to make sure you have either a denim needle or a heavier needle in your machine. And you're going to want to make sure all these extra little threads are not sticking out, because what will happen is your machine will try to grab them and sew with your threads instead and mess up on the bottom. I want to cut these off. I'm going to sew this part on, and then I'm going to flip it around and use the button part to latch onto it. These little buttons, just like that, and they will be sewn onto the garment. Alrighty, so I sewed on my tabs. Now you need to figure out how long you want your straps to be, and they're going to be hooking on to the back of this, like that. And then I'm going to cut mine off even with here. I have seen people leave it longer on the back, which you could do that so whoever you sell it to could have it adjusted or have the garment altered if they need to. That's not a bad idea. Another thing you could do is put it under it like this if you wanted to, if you preferred that look. So this one is up to you. And what I'm going to do is the first thing I'm going to do is sew this shut and sew these down. And then I'm going, because this side is not being sewed on, then I'm going to figure out my length. And this is where it would help to have if you don't have a mannequin, it would really help to have some extra hands. You could put this part on, and then have somebody else clip this for you. Or you could just say, okay, I think it needs to be that long. Clip both of them, try it on and see if it looks right in the mirror. And say, well, no, I need a little bit longer. Take it off, re-clip it, repin it until you get it to the right height. That's how I would do it if I was by myself. I'm putting a mark here so I can come back to it and measure it, but I've got to take off these belt loops because unless I want to sew it this way, I actually kind of like it under there. I like the look under there. So I'm going to take my belt loop off here and cut it off, and I'm going to do the same. It's got a belt loop there, and I'm going to do the same there. I should remove this tag too while I'm here, because it's not that size of jean anymore, is it? Center of your button down to where your mark would be is 14 5/8, but I'm going to add another 1.5 inches or so. So you're going to want at least 17 inches, 16.5 to 17 inches for these straps. Okay, now for this piece, you're going to need the leg of your jeans. So I'm going to just make a piece here. I'm going to go sew up and just make it interesting. It'll have some of that. I'll probably have some reverse, and then I'll probably do something like that. And we'll make this bottom piece really interesting. I just don't want anything heavy like this out where I might be putting my zipper in. So, all right, I'm going to go make me a piece of this and be right back. Okay, so here I have the front piece. Now what I want to do, and the reason I made these a little bit long so I had the room to play with, is I want this piece here to go close or to where this ends. So I'm going to lay it here. I kind of didn't think about this being under there, but what I can do is come back with another little square or something and just make it look like it's part of it. So, or I could take it up and stick it under it. So now I'm going to pin it, because out here, I'm just going to pin it where it's even with the bottom of my armholes. And we're going to pin that, and then I'm going to sew with a zigzag. I'm going to sew this on out to here on both sides and make sure I backstitch really good to lock it all in place. So the next step is, now that you've got your wings added on, is that you're going to go measure and see if you have enough for your waist, if you need to come down a little bit, or if it's going to fit you okay. Now, for me, it is almost perfect right here. And I want to show you how I did the front. So when I sewed this on, I did take this up and sew under. But on the back side, I did something different. I actually laid it on top of my strip because I didn't want to take all this up, and I thought it was so cute. So I actually laid it on top of my strip and just sewed it down. And so now what we're going to do, and I zigzagged my unfinished edges that's up here on top. I don't know how much I'm going to be cutting off of them, and I can trim all this up later on. And it is a little bit sideways. I noticed I got it just a little bit sideways. I think it's going to be okay. So here, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to try it on. And it's easier to do in front of a mirror. Try it on and then pull these sides around you. I'll show you how to do it. But you're going to pull it around and you're going to clip it or pin it when it is where you want it to be when you wear it. Okay? You're going to want to find your center point, which for me is right here. Okay, your low-rise jeans are the ones to look for these zippers on if you want short zippers. So we're going to trim these up just like I did the other ones, so I don't have as much to sew through. And you don't have to do this if you can sew through that much fabric. I like the way they look as well. So we're going to open our zippers up like this. I'm going to trim as much of this backside off as I can. My poor little machine needs all the help it can get. That's why you need strong scissors. Like, to clip that much pressure out at the tips, you cannot do that with very easy with a regular pair of scissors. Now look how much less that is. Okay, and if it doesn't look even to you and you don't like that, you can trim this side down to be the same width as the other side. So I'm going to start with this one. I don't really want all of this at the end, so I can also trim that, because I want to be able to have room here to attach a skirt or to keep sewing on down. And I want mine right in the center. So when you get to the center, what you're going to do here is just pin your zipper in place, like that. And then we're going to sew it in place just like that. It's a lot of fabric to go through. My machine's going to have so much fun with that. Okay, we're going to do that. I'm going to put the other one on the other side and do the same thing. I can go ahead and trim off some of this extra right now if I want. If I just want it out of my way, if it's flopping. And we can come and do a more exacting trim when we're done. And of course I have the extra on the other side. Just to give myself a little extra strength here, I'm going to go ahead and pin here. All right, I'm going to do the other one, giving myself the same amount of room. Okay. Okay, so here's what we have. And this is a stage where you do want to try it on, because if it doesn't fit you on the sides, once you cut this open, it's going to be a little bit more work. But make sure you got it right. And then we're going to trim this extra fabric that we had from this waistband. We're going to trim all that off, clean up our strings and all of that. On this side I have, now I don't want to cut this because this will be sewn into the bottom here that we're going to do. But now if you unzip it, you're going to see that fabric right there. So what we're going to do, we're going to come on the back side and you can see what we have to clean up. We have to clean up, and be careful not to cut your zipper. Sometimes I use a smaller pair of scissors for this. I have this really tough pair of, like, real expensive pair of scissors. There's a story behind that, but basically they're super, super sharp. I think Cutco or something was the company. I bought them to help a kid go to school. But basically, you're going to trim, and I can do it with these big ones too. But you're going to trim this out all the way down below where the zipper pull is. Okay. Like this. And it's that easy to have a working zipper in your garment. See? There you go. Isn't this looking steampunk? I'm like, as I'm cutting this all out, I'm like, it's kind of looking steampunk. I guess it's going to be a hybrid of boho and steampunk. So we're going to clean the extra up. Here, and the extra up here. And I want to go straight down because I'm going to be attaching to the bottom of this, and I need that down there. But if I messed up, I could just sew a piece on. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm like, do I like how that's trimmed? I'm actually fine with all those details. So now we just need to fix this zipper. We need to do the same thing. We're going to unzip it all the way down. And we're going to open this little U section here. Let's go ahead, and you can decorate it after you're done so you kind of get the feel of the garment. You could build this part and the straps and everything, sew it all together, and then Then add your bottom piece. So now you're going to decide. This is where I just thought of another fun thing you could add. You could add a pair of shorts and have a pair of short alls. You could put your shorts here, pin them on, make them fit, and then have your, you know, try it on and pin it all together and have a little pair of short alls. That would be really cute as well. But I was going to add some fabric from here and some other colors and just gather it and make a skirt. Okay, so here are some elements I may use. I may put these on the back, I'm not sure yet. I'm going to just sew strips of fabric together, and then I'm going to sew them on like that to the garment. And I haven't decided if I'm doing anything for a bottom border, but I'm going to do all that. So here we have the top, and I've made a skirt. I didn't want it too full. I want it just to be a little bit, just a little bit of gathering. I'm going to sew this piece on. Now how I want to do this is I've got pockets here that I want it to be like, I want it to be put on evenly. So I'm going to, and I'm probably going to want this right in the center. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this in place where I want these to go. I'm just going to go this way. And what I'm going to do is measure out probably about here. Let's measure that and put a pin there to let myself know how far it is. Let's do 4 inches or 4.5. Let's do 4.5. Now if you want your skirt to be more full, if you are doing a skirt and you want it to be more full, just make it longer or make it wider than I did. And so however far, since I've got even, I want these to be even on the front. However far I measure here on this side, I'm going to measure it here. And then when I start sewing, I'll put my side right here. I'll gather this to there. And then I will gather whatever's in between here in. Okay, so here's what I had to do. I end up having to take almost 3 inches out of my strap. So I'm going to measure the strap length for you. The straps end up being 12 inches each. So I don't know how it will fit on you. You'll have to measure yours just for you. So this is what it looks like here. And here's what I decided to do. I decided to make it really long, and I just added this wide denim border at the bottom. Instead of ruffles, I thought about doing ruffles. I thought, you know, this is more farm, more, you know, steampunk sort of thing. So I just added this really nice heavy denim border on the back. So I think the front's really cute. It's got functional pockets in the back. So when you go out, look how cute this is. Now I'm short, I'm only 5 feet tall. I feel like I want pockets here though. I could have taken these and put them like here. I feel like I want a pair of pockets, but it's really cute. It's very comfortable. It does have side pockets here, but I don't know, somehow I just feel like I want some in the front, but I'll look at it and see before I list it. But how cute is this? Very comfortable. And I can see all kinds of different ways a person could do this up. You could literally follow this and come down with denim and make an apron even out of it, a work apron. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video and got some good out of it. I will see you in the next video. It was a long day today. I did this all in one day. I'm so tired, but oh, how cute it is. It was worth it. So thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, happy sewing.